Hello and welcome to the Just George Allen Show. I'm your host George Allen, and in today's episode we are talking about the Premier League and, more importantly, the Premier League so far. As we approach halfway through the season, I thought I'd do a little review of the season so far, see the table, see how some certain clubs are doing, and see what fixtures for the next month are looking like for some teams, and see how far teams can go in this season. Now, I've obviously been very happy with the way the season's gone so far, with Arsenal being top of the table. Looking here at my notes, I've got obviously 47 points in 18 games for Arsenal at the time of recording. It's going very well for Arsenal. Only one loss, 2 draws and 15 wins, so there's definitely no complaints from any Arsenal fans this season. I've looked at a lot of these results and a lot of these fixtures in preparation for this video, and I feel like there's a couple of teams that are definitely worth noting, because some that I consider to be overachieving, some that I think that are underachieving, and then some teams that I feel like might need an injection of maybe players or maybe even new manager in order to get to where they need to be, or where they at least need to be in order to stay in this league. So let's start off maybe from the bottom up maybe. So I look at West Ham, I look at Everton, both sitting in relegation zone, 18th and 19th in the league, both on 19 games played, only on 15 points each, which is obviously not where you want to be. There's 3 teams all in the relegation zone, all on 15 points. So looking at this though, the difference between 20th place and 13th place, where Nottingham Forest sit currently, there's only 5 points difference. So there's not much of a difference between each of them teams. Leeds, who are 14th place, who have got 17 points, they've got a game in hand. So they can obviously level Nottingham Forest's amount of points. But West Ham in particular, I'm looking at their recent games, the last 5, and they've got 1 draw and 4 losses, which is, when you look at that, that's not a great record at all. And obviously they had just recently lost to Wolves 1-0 as well, so they're a team that were right next to them in that relegation, in them relegation places. So I feel like looking at West Ham's next fixture, which I have here, it's West Ham versus Everton this Saturday at 3 o'clock. So looking at both them teams as I am, that game on Saturday is crucial for both teams. I know obviously we're only halfway through the season, so as I said earlier with Arsenal, I'm very happy where we are right now, but I'm not making any prediction that Arsenal are going to somehow manage to get another 47 points in the second half of the season and then win the league. But from where we are right now, I feel like it's a very strong position to be in, 8 points clear of Manchester City and Man United, with a game in hand over Man United. So it's a very good start to the season for Arsenal, and obviously the opposite can be said for West Ham. To be fair with West Ham though, in my opinion at least, the last couple of seasons I think they've overachieved, being in the top 6, 7, I think they might have been that last season, or at least in the top half of the table. So to be in 18th is a very surprising one for me with them, because I look at that team and I look at it and there's quite a few players that are very, very good. Like they would be in most top 6 sides, You look at Jarrod Bowen, you look at Declan Rice in particular. You would look at them players, for example, and think, any team would be happy to take them right now into their teams, and it would improve them. I feel like they need to definitely either sign some players. Obviously, at the time of recording, they are on the verge of signing Danny Ings, which would be another striking option, considering they've only got 15 goals this season, and they've conceded 25. So they've not conceded that many, to be fair. Like if you look at other teams that are much higher than them in the table, for example, Fulham, they've conceded 29 goals, but Fulham have scored 32 goals. So big difference. They've scored double the amount of goals as West Ham. So definitely scoring goals is a problem that obviously they've looked at, and they've said, look, we need to get Danny Ings in, and hopefully that will change at West Ham. But yeah, moving on, another team that is in an area of the table which they shouldn't be in is Leicester. And I look at Leicester and they've got 17 points, so only 2 better than West Ham. But yeah, Leicester as well. Leicester and Wolves. Like, I look at these teams, I think, why are they down this far in the table? But Wolves' form's a bit hit and miss. Obviously, they've won and drawn their last 2 games, but then before then they'd lost a game, won a game, lost a game. So in their last 5, so it's very hit and miss for them. And then Leicester have lost 4 on the bounce, so that's why they're where they are in the table. I look at a team like Leeds. I think they're kind of where they need to be in 14th place. Obviously, I've stepped over Southampton. They're obviously rock bottom of the table. They're in 20th with only 15 points as well, as I said. And they got a crucial win against Everton on the weekend. If you've not seen the highlights from that game, I strongly recommend you go and watch it. James Tarkowski's 2 goals were fantastic. Not James Tarkowski, James Ward-Prowse even. He plays for Everton. He definitely didn't score the goals. James Ward-Prowse's 2 goals, they were impressive. Moving on, Nottingham Forest, I think they've kind of gone more so, not overachieving, but they are achieving higher than I thought. I thought they were going to be part of the relegation bottom 3, but they're not. They're in 13th, so I think they're doing much better than I thought they would be. 20 points. They've got 2 wins, back-to-back wins, and a draw. So they've done quite well recently. So hopefully they'll use that to continue on this season. Now to more so the midway point of the table. I look at teams like Aston Villa that under Unai Emery have been much better. They are now 11th place with 25 points, so they're kind of where they need to be. Obviously, they would hope to be more so in the top half, but 11th place is okay. Seeming they've gone through a new manager from Steven Gerrard to Unai Emery. In 9th and 10th place, we have Liverpool and Brentford, Liverpool and Chelsea even. Liverpool in 9th and Chelsea in 10th. Obviously, for both them teams, that's massively underachieving, especially when you look at the amount that Chelsea have spent in the transfer market. Obviously, they've got to wait for them players to click into place, and I know, new signings don't just automatically come into a team and revolutionise the team, unless you're looking at Erling Haaland, who's already scored 21 goals this season, which is incredible in 18 games. He has dried up a little bit recently, so tonight's game against Tottenham at 8 o'clock definitely could maybe see Haaland get a goal or 2, maybe get his form back into motion. But yeah, 9th and 10th, for Liverpool and Chelsea, it's definitely an underachievement for them. But as I've said, we're only halfway through, so you can't look at it too in detail. But yeah, Liverpool are currently 19 points off of Arsenal, who are at top, and Chelsea are also 19 points off of Arsenal. So that's unheard of. So that's why I can confidently say they're both underachieving. Brentford are in 8th. I think that's borderline overachieving. I think they're a really decent outfit, Brentford. The same with Brighton, who are in 7th. They've played 1 game less than Brentford, who are behind them, and 2 games less than Fulham, that are in front of them. So I can see them maybe picking up a point or even all 6 and going past Fulham back into 6th place. Then you have Fulham in 6th, which is definitely an overachievement, but so far. But obviously, the amount of goals that Mitrovic has scored has obviously helped them massively. But for them, I look at the key stat here, and it's the amount of goals they're conceding. They've only got 3 goal difference because they've scored 32, but they've conceded 29 goals. So, and you put that in comparison to Newcastle, who have only conceded 11. That's a big difference in the amount of goals you're conceding. Then in 5th place we have Tottenham, who obviously they're in and out of form at the moment. If you look at their last 5, they've won 2, lost 2, and drawn 1. It's a bit inconsistent. So tonight's game is massive for them, I think, to bounce back from the North London derby 2-0 loss, which I have now got over, obviously, over the excitement of it. At the time, I was buzzing. That's last Sunday, 2-0 win against Tottenham, which I 100% didn't think was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a Tottenham win, maybe 2-1, 3-1 to Tottenham, but I was surprised to see a 2-0 win. So Newcastle are in fourth. They're definitely overachieving in my opinion. They probably would have said European places this year, top 7. I think that's how you get into Conference League. I think 7th gets Conference League, 6th and 5th get Europa League, depending on how the FA Cup, who wins the FA Cup. Because I think if, say, for example, a top 4 team wins the FA Cup, then it moves down one more place. Then 5th place obviously gets the guaranteed Europa League. Europa League spot. And then obviously top 4 get the Champions League. So yeah, Newcastle being in 4th and only conceding 11 goals is fantastic for them so far this season. But I feel like that's going to have to be, consistent again for the second half of the season in order for them to keep that top 4, because you've got the likes of Tottenham, Liverpool and Chelsea, which you would think would start to perform much better in the second half of the season. So yeah, Newcastle, as long as they keep all them clean sheets and the amount of goals down to virtually minimum, then I think they've got a great chance of getting top 4. In third place, we've got Man United, who are flying at the moment. Obviously, they got a draw last night, but it was literally an 88th minute equaliser. But yeah, they're playing really well at the moment. Obviously, Arsenal's next fixture is against Man United on this Sunday, 4:30 again. So that's a big game. I can't call that one. I would say Arsenal will draw because we're at home and we're unbeaten at home this season, but it's a very tough one to call. It's going to be a great game either way to watch. I think it'd be more of a tactical battle. I don't think it'd be a high scoring game, so maybe a 1-0 or 2-0 or like a 1-1 draw, I think personally. But yeah, the Man City are in second place. They're on 39 points. So both Man United and Man City are on 39 points, and then Newcastle are on 38 points. So it's very, very tight. Yeah, so like Newcastle are only 9 points behind Arsenal, but they've played an extra game than Arsenal. But obviously, Arsenal's game in hand is against Man City, which I'm actually going to. It's on the 15th of February, I believe, on a Wednesday. So yeah, it'll be a good game to go to after work. But yeah, and then I've got obviously Arsenal at the top of the table, which is fantastic. If I had to predict, because I didn't really want to do this as a prediction show, but if I predict in the top 4, if I'm looking at this now and thinking who's going to be there come the end of the season after everyone's played 38 games, I think Arsenal will be in the top 4. I don't think they'll win the league. I personally don't. I think Man City will probably kick on and somehow just manage to gain so much momentum. Arsenal will probably finish second or third. So I think it'll be Arsenal, Man City, Man United. I don't know the order, but Arsenal, Man City, Man United, and then it's that fourth one. It's tight to call. I don't know why, but I've got a feeling Tottenham will just get that fourth place, but it's a really hard one to call. And obviously Liverpool and Chelsea, they're not miles behind, but they're 10 points behind Newcastle, both of them being Liverpool and Chelsea. So that's a lot of points they have to gain over the course of only 19 games. So yeah, tough one to call, but yeah, definitely them. Who's in the top 3 right now will be in the top 4 come the end of the season. So yeah, that's the table sorted. So let's have a look at some of the fixtures, shall we? So for the rest of January, you've got Liverpool-Chelsea this weekend, which I think is a crucial game for both teams. As I've said multiple times now, they're both on 28 points, so whichever one, wins that game could maybe kickstart their season and try and push on and gain some ground on the teams that are running away from them in that top 4 spot. Another game that I spoke of earlier, West Ham Everton, which is on 3:00 on Saturday as well. That's another big game. Crystal Palace Newcastle is quite a big game at 5:30 on Saturday as well, because obviously Palace got a draw at home against Man United. So will they maybe draw again against Newcastle, or will Newcastle find a way to get a result out of that game? On Sunday, obviously, as I've mentioned, is the big one. Arsenal versus Man United at 4:30. Obviously, now with them drawing yesterday, it means that Man United will need to win that game and close the gap to 5 points. Obviously, they could have closed it even more so if they would have beaten Crystal Palace yesterday. But sometimes you have to in a way see off a game. You need to get another goal just to make sure the gap. Because with 1-0, you're allowing a team to try and get an equalising goal. Sorry. Saturday, 4th of February, you've got Everton Arsenal. Obviously, Everton being where they are in the table, they need to get as many points as possible. We're going to play Arsenal, the team that have kept a lot of clean sheets away from home this season. It's going to be difficult for them. West Ham's February. This is something I really wanted to talk about because their February fixtures. If I look at them, as I've got them here, you've got Newcastle away. Tough game at any time of the season. West Ham versus Chelsea. So West Ham at home to Chelsea. Then they're away to Tottenham, and they're also at home to Nottingham Forest, obviously, who are down there with them. Only 5 points separates them. So, and then if they were to say get some results out of them games, but not anything out of the Nottingham Forest game, it could spell disaster for them. So it's a very important February, in my opinion, for West Ham. But yeah, some of these fixtures, I look at I don't know. There's not many others that I was looking at thinking big crucial games. Newcastle Liverpool, I think is a big one on Saturday the 18th of Feb. Obviously Arsenal Man City, which I mentioned earlier, which I'll be going to, is obviously a crucial game. We've got the Merseyside derby in February as well. I think that's on Monday the 13th. So yeah, there's a lot of big games throughout the course of February. So that's why I thought I would mention them in this video today. But yeah, if I look at, let's say, the season as a whole, I think it's been a very surprising season. A lot of teams have managed to get results against teams which usually I would think, oh no, it's not going to go that way. I think they'll get a draw, they'll get a win. Like, for example, Brighton versus Liverpool on the weekend just gone. Brighton winning 3-0. I wouldn't be able to predict that. Same with the Northern derby, Arsenal winning 2-0. But yeah, I thought I'll just share my thoughts on the league so far. Obviously, as I started the show with, I'm very happy at the moment with Arsenal's progress. At the moment, we look like we're signing Lozano Trossard. I hope that I've pronounced that correct, which will be a good addition to the team. Obviously, we lost out on Mudryk because obviously he went to Chelsea instead, but that was a lot of money. It was about 80, 90 million euros, which is just a massive amount to spend on just one player. But Chelsea took that deal from us. I think they just obviously must have offered better terms for the player. So fair play to them. But we've signed Trossard. Well, look like we're about to sign Trossard for about 27 million, I think, and I think that includes the add-ons. So yeah, quite a decent signing. I think we need one or two more. Maybe I could do another video once the transfer window ends and see who's signed who, and then who they could have signed or should have maybe signed to strengthen the team. But yeah, let me know what you think about that in the comments of either this video or the Facebook upload. But yeah, that will probably do it for today's episode. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed it, maybe drop a like or subscribe to the channel. It would be great to have more of you supporting this channel. I hope to bring you another video about the Premier League, maybe come the end of the transfer window, which obviously closes on the 31st of January. I think it's open for a little bit afterwards. I think the next day, as long as you put the paperwork through, they can be finalised the next day. But yeah, you can let me know in the comments if that's correct or not. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you. Goodbye.